The Stepmother Landlord. The town of Ravenbrook was known for its quiet streets and close-knit community, but beneath the surface lurked dark secrets that threatened to unravel. Among those secrets was the twisted alliance between Miranda Hawthorne, a cunning stepmother, Victor Kane, a ruthless landlord, and their circle of manipulative allies. Miranda had always resented her stepdaughter, Lillian. After the untimely death of Lillian's father, Miranda took control of the estate, forging documents to claim the wealth meant for his daughter. She convinced Lillian that she was left with nothing, but whispers of an inheritance had begun to surface, leaving Miranda in a state of paranoia. She couldn't allow Lillian to uncover the truth. Victor Kane, a powerful landlord who controlled much of Ravenbrook's real estate, was equally ruthless. He had been laundering money through false rental agreements, inflating property values, and evicting tenants under fabricated claims. When Lillian unknowingly stumbled upon discrepancies in her father's property records, she became a target. Victor saw her as a threat that needed to be silenced. Then there were Miranda's so-called friends Eliza, Jason, and Harper, a toxic trio who thrived on deception and power plays. They were knee-deep in corruption, using manipulation, blackmail, and even sex as currency to maintain their influence over judges, doctors, and lawyers. With their connections, they had ruined lives and framed innocent people without consequence. But the tides were changing. One evening, Lillian found an old key hidden in a book from her father's study. The key led her to a hidden safe within the walls of her childhood home. Inside, she found forged documents, bank statements, and proof of property theft. Panic surged through her veins as she realized the depth of the conspiracy against her. It wasn't just about money. It was about control, silencing anyone who posed a threat. Meanwhile, Victor Kane was facing his own crisis. An anonymous tip had landed on the desk of a federal investigator, detailing his fraudulent dealings. Tenants had started to speak out, exposing his abuse of power. With authorities breathing down his neck, Victor turned to Miranda and her friends for help. But they had their own problems. Eliza, Jason, and Harper had become sloppy. Their influence was slipping, and the professionals they once controlled were beginning to turn on them. A judge who had been complicit in their schemes was now under investigation. A doctor who had falsified medical records for them had lost his license, and a lawyer they relied on was now looking for an immunity deal. Their world was crumbling, and guilt was setting in, not because they regretted their actions, but because they knew the end was near. As Lillian gathered the evidence she needed, she reached out to an investigative journalist, someone with the power to expose the corruption that had plagued her life. What followed was a media storm that shook Ravenbrook to its core. Miranda's lies unraveled, Victor's empire collapsed, and their friends faced the full force of the law. But it wasn't over. Miranda, in a desperate attempt to flee, tried to leave the country, but she was caught at the airport. Victor, abandoned by his allies, was left to face his crimes alone. And as for Eliza, Jason, and Harper, they turned on each other, revealing even more secrets in an attempt to save themselves. Lillian stood at the center of it all, not as a victim, but as the one who brought them down. Justice had prevailed, but she knew the shadows of deception never truly vanished. There would always be those who thrived on lies and power, but this time, she was ready for them.